Well, I thank all of you guys getting here actually on time. Literally about a year and a half ago, I literally had a breakfast meeting scheduled with Larry King, and I asked my person I was staying with, I said, well, how early should I leave to get there? He goes, if you leave by 7:30, you should be in good shape for, the 9 o'clock, breakfast meeting. And I got there at 10. And Larry wasn't there by that time, so I learned, but I appreciate you guys coming early. So let me ask you this. So how many of you really think well-connected people have more influence and make more money than their peers? How many of you think well-connected people get results at whatever they're doing faster in a whole lot less time just due to their relationships? Okay. How many of you want to be one of those people? Okay. How many of you, it's too early, you're not going to raise your hand no matter what I say? So, anyway, think of me this weekend over the 3 days. We're going to do a lot of exercises. This is not about me. This is really about you and getting whatever it is you want faster than you ever thought possible. Okay? We had our last event about 6 months ago, and it was unbelievable, some of the results that some of our clients and students were able to achieve. But I believe it was because of the environment that we created, not only from our guest instructors, but the people in the room. So just so you know, I've invited some very powerful movers and shakers. I've got a lot of friends that are going to be here. You never know who you're going to be sitting next to and how close you might be to getting exactly what you want. So, we're talking about, being a connection champion. I'll kind of describe what that is. But by you having more clarity in terms of what it is that you want, I think that'll go a long way in terms of helping you. So this I'll promise you, before not only today or the weekend's over, you'll have met everyone. And there's some interesting people, like I said, that are coming through that I think will add to the weekend. So again, we were talking about being connection champions. So when you send an email or someone introduces you, you want to be like in that to field, and then below it you got the CC, and underneath it you got the BCC. You really want to stay in the CC category at the very least, right? In terms of when you're trying to get connected. So I'm going to share a gift that I really believe it'll be the gift that keeps on giving. I kind of came to this discovery about 2 years ago, and I had a chance to talk to Donald Trump. I was at the Learning Annex when you have like 15,000 people and stuff like that, and someone came up to me and asked me if I could ask Mr. Trump a question, which I was very excited to do so. And what was interesting is I asked Mr. Trump on that day, I literally got selectively outsourced, like June said, for the last and final time earlier that week. And it was on actually April 1st when it happened, so it was an interesting April Fool's joke on me. And what was interesting about that, the question I asked Trump was, how does he handle adversity and pressure? And he had a very elaborate answer, and he actually started talking about the tsunami, believe it or not. And he talked about people, then that's adversity. And he had no idea that I chaired the Tsunami Disaster Relief Project and some other things. But what I found more fascinating was the question that was asked right behind me. And the guy said, Mr. Trump, what would you do today if you lost all your money? And I guess the guy was thinking he was going to say network marketing. I don't know what he was thinking. But what was interesting with Mr. Trump, he said, I'm going to be rich. That's all there is to it. Next question. Now, there was 15,000 people in the audience. Now, what I heard that day, like a light bulb went off in my head. And I said, wow, that's interesting. In good times and in bad, he's going to stay where he is. Obviously, he lost some money and came right back to the billionaire status. And then I started thinking to myself, I actually have a unique skill. If you study some of the world's most dominant, billionaires, market leaders in every industry category, they have this one skill. They are so super connected, they're able to get things done at the snap of their fingers. Do you agree with that? Yeah. Okay. And so I'm going to give you the gift that keeps on giving. Dave Steck, that's in the room that'll be speaking, last time he brought his 2 children. And I don't know, is your son's going to be here throughout the weekend? I'll let them tell their story. But it's been an amazing, watching his son that just graduated, that's in Stanford, and leveraging some of the skills that he learned to move to, I'm talking to the top of the venture capital community in the investment banking world in less than 6 months. So let me just show you what's possible. And I don't know if you guys can make this out. I don't know if our screen pixelation is the best or not. I don't know if we need to reduce that. But let me just tell you, let's see here. Where is the, in the top? Okay. Well, the top right hand is a guy named Weiland. Have you guys ever heard of Weiland, the artist? Okay, he's one of the most famous artists around. And I met Weiland through a gentleman named Mark Victor Hansen from Chicken Soup for the Soul. There's Les Brown to his left, who's a very famous motivational speaker. David Fry, I don't know if any of you have heard of him, but into the world of entrepreneurs, I'm telling you, he is one of the brightest, sharpest, successful marketers in the world, most creative people. John Assaraf from The Secret, you may have heard of, and he's written a best-selling book called The Answer, which I would highly encourage each and every single one of you to get. It's a profound, really educational book. How many of you are familiar with Jay Abraham, just by show of hands? He's like one of the most successful marketeers, I would say, to the entrepreneur. He's probably generated an additional $10 billion with a B of extra profits for entrepreneurs over the last 25 years. Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul. Literally, I was really blessed. I've known Mark Victor Hansen from Chicken Soup for the Soul a whole lot longer, and Jack is just joining my private mastermind group and offered to help me in any way we can. Now, below here is Armando Montalongo from A&E Television. Stephen Pierce will be speaking. Ron LeGrand, Bill Bartman, a self-made billionaire, and another good friend of mine, Alex Mondosian. So anyway, this is just kind of a handful of people. But at the end of the day, if I need something in the world of marketing, in the world of sales, or access to capital, or whatever, it's normally on a speed dial in just one person away. I don't claim to know everything, nor would I want any of you. But I'm going to show you how to go build your own connection circles, okay? So you can get whatever you want at will very, very quickly. So I think I'll just skip over that. If you were to Google me right now, you'd actually come up under the most connected guy on the planet. I come up number 1. Now, I could also show you each and every one of you how you can kind of do similar things for yourself. But when you come up high on Google like that, is that a good thing? Yeah. Or a good thing? Okay. I actually checked this morning just to make sure. I was still number 1. So, to me, there's always an easy way and a hard way of doing everything, okay? How many of you know people that literally, from an easy way, they're either on the golf course or they're spending time with their family, they're making more money than they should be able to based on how smart they are, and then other people, they are really working hard, and they're not making anywhere near the money they should or their potential should allow them to. They might not be seeing their children as much, and they're stressed to the max over money or whatever the situation. Do we know some of these people, sometimes intimately? Yeah? Again, so we're going to talk all weekend long, easy versus hard, okay? I'm going to show you literally how fast things can happen when you get really clear. Now, who knows what this stands for? GSD, the GSD factor. Getting stuff done, and in other places it might be something else, right? So here's what I've learned about some of the most successful entrepreneurs, most successful sales professionals in the world. Their GSD factor is incredibly high, very high. And you need to ask yourself and write this down, how high is your GSD factor? When you need to get things done, when you need to get a phone call returned, an email returned, a meeting set up, are the people calling you back right away? How long does it take? That has a lot to do with your GSD factor, okay? So now, we're going to do a little exercise, which will really set the stage for the entire 3 days, okay? I literally just came off an event where $50 million of deals happened in less than 48 hours. So I would like to think over the next 72 hours, there'll be lots of opportunities created, both from inside the room and then helping many of you reach who your perfect client is. So what I would like to do is, from a perfect client or perfect partner standpoint, why don't we take about a minute or two to identify who your perfect client or perfect partner might be. So why don't you take a second just to write that down. And for some of you who may not know who the individual is, you might have some characteristics of who these people might be or the individual type companies you're trying to penetrate. I know, for example, my client Mark, who's in the second row, he's trying to connect to financial service institutions, but we're going to go through each of this with some of you. So let's take about a minute or two. And James, do we have music at James? Yeah, okay, cool. So again, who is your perfect partner? Who's your perfect client? What characteristics do they have? Do you have any of your current, are you currently doing business today with who your perfect client is? A lot of people want to recession-proof their income and do different things. Well, it's a great opportunity to ramp up the business by just duplicating whoever your perfect customer is. Okay. How are we doing? Do we need more time? Nodding of heads, anybody? Okay, 30 more seconds. Okay. Who would like to share who your perfect client or perfect partner is? Okay. Hey, AJ, how do I shut down the projector just like when I want to dim it? And who's going to share? Go ahead.
My perfect partner, it's not on.
Okay.
It is.
It's on.
Okay. My perfect partner would be somebody who was high up in one of the major real estate companies throughout the country, who would contract me to stage on a regular basis, included in their contracts, of homes for sale that included in that would be a staging of that home across the country.
By the way, just a good exercise when you're at events, when people are sharing their personal information, if for some of you have the right connections, I'm not saying to just go hand the connection over. That's not what I'm saying. But write down the notes because you'll make fast friends when you're able to help that person around things that are high priority for them. And normally, the way it works is that they'll normally reciprocate if you're dealing with some giving type of people. So, very cool. Okay, good. I'm sorry?
Adrienne Jacob Design.
And she likes to ride horses.
I do.
What's your favorite horse?
I have a Rocky Mountain who I love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you're from where?
I'm from Malibu.
Okay, very, very cool. Awesome. Bob?
Good morning, everyone. I'm here from Florida, and I met Larry, 6 months ago in Albuquerque. It's a pleasure being here. I brought my sister, who resides here in Los Angeles. But my perfect customer is not an individual, it's a business. And I'm looking for a title company who's involved in short sale facilitating, where a client needs funds for a short-term financing in an A, B, C transaction, a back-to-back transaction, where I can provide funds unrelated to the ultimate purchaser of the real estate, funds that may be necessary for a 36 to 72-hour period.
Okay, awesome. One more, and then someone who hasn't gone, and we'll just get around. Go ahead, Betty.
I'm Betty Tulney, and my perfect client knows they can create their own life, but they aren't doing it because they don't know the process.
Okay, very good. I like that. Since she was so quick on the spot, and one more. Go ahead, Pam. By the way, being short and concise, I like that. That's good. Boom, right on the money. Okay.
My perfect partners are real estate, the realtors, brokers, also banks selling non-performing assets.
Okay.
I buy and sell notes as part of my business,
Okay.
and that's it.
That's good. Okay, so now here's the bigger piece of the equation. You got to identify your perfect client and your perfect partner. Now, let me ask you this. How much, if you were doing business with your perfect client or your perfect partners, how much would this be worth to you? And I'll throw out two numbers, either over a 5-year time horizon or a 10-year time horizon. I've literally polled a few of my friends just in the last week, just randomly, just asked a bunch of people. I asked my friend Eric Lofholm, who's a sales trainer, how much his most significant partnership is worth, and he said it'll be worth about $20 million to him. I talked to another gentleman who's in the same type of business, type sales training. One person has been worth about $15 million, and that's just in the last couple years. So I'd just be curious based on everyone's different businesses. Some people it might be worth $10,000 a year. Others, it might be worth $100,000 a year, and some of you might be worth millions. I don't know. Why don't you take a minute or two to really think hard how much that would be worth your perfect client and perfect partner? Because once you identify how much that's worth, the way you're going to go about interacting and reaching out, connecting, putting the marketing pieces in play is going to be a whole lot easier to you. Is Ken Varga in the room, by the way? Yeah. You know, you'll get a chance to hear from Ken tomorrow. Ken's acquired like 8 million customers over his lifetime, and he's an absolute genius, and he's going to show you the actual systems on acquiring customers, retaining customers. But once you are really tight on those perfect partnerships, it becomes a pretty substantial dollar amount, right, Ken? So, okay. All right, so why don't you guys write that down? And for those of you that already have a dollar amount, if you want to just share with us what that is, I'm just kind of get a perspective. Anyone want to share? Go ahead.
Yeah, 5-year horizon's worth about $8 million a year.
8 million
And
a year?
10-year could probably be worth about, over 10 years, probably another $40 million.
So, Stephen, the business you're in is?
I'm doing a new startup.
A new startup?
It's a language institute, teaching English as a second language overseas.
Okay, very cool. And what'd you say, 8 million a year, 40 million over 5?
Right.
That's pretty good, right? Okay, who else? Front row. Thank you for sharing. Give him a hand. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a perspective. Your perfect client, your perfect partner, regardless of what it is.
In a 10-year, it'd be over $1 billion, easy.
What kind of business you in?
I have a life coaching business.
A life coaching business. Okay. And who's your perfect client?
A perfect client would be someone, I have the talent and the material. I'm looking for PR, marketing, strategy. We do online life coaching, so we're looking to catch the trends now and move in that direction. But
well, later on today, and he's literally flying all the way in from Georgia. He'll be arriving in about a half hour, and he's literally taking the red-eye home. He just flew in just for a few hours just to spend about 45 minutes with you guys later. My friend Orrin Hudson has gotten millions of dollars of publicity. He's been on Good Morning America, the CBS Morning News, the Today Show, Time Magazine's written articles, and he's going to actually talk about the techniques he's using in real time to get all this media attention. Is Raleigh Pinsky in the room? I don't know if she's here yet. But I also have Kiss's former publicist, and I have Sting's former publicist. But anyway, she'll be here, so she'll be a good person to connect with and give you some ideas and tips. Anyone else in the back?
The number that I came up with is $600,000 in the first year.
Okay.
And about $40 million in the next 8.
Okay. Very cool. What kind of business you in? What line?
One would be, by the way, I have the perfect partner for Pam, so maybe we can hook up later.
By the way, LarryBenet.com, we accept 10% success fees on large transactions, okay?
Okay.
Yes. And some of that will go to charity. So go ahead.
Well, I have two ventures. One of them is starting to market bulk REOs and non-performance notes.
Okay.
And also, I have a pet project, which is a development in Costa Rica.
Okay.
And my perfect client is somebody who can afford, who has multiple enterprises, and one of the main sources of income is real estate, and can invest at least $10 million.
Okay. I know some people down in Costa Rica, so we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Do you pay good referral fees?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So The reason why I want to have you do this exercise, so let me ask you a serious question. If I could show you the strategies and you walk away over this course of this weekend and you'll have the blueprint and you'll know step by step what to do, how to go do it, how to reel these fish in, these perfect clients, would that be a successful weekend for you? Yes. If some of you made the connections on the spot in the next 48 to 72 hours, would that be a successful weekend for you? Is that time well spent? Okay? So that is what's going to happen over the next 3 days. Okay? We just have some amazing people here to kind of help you with that. So all I basically was showing you, the only thing between you and whatever money or dreams or aspirations that you have is really identifying who those perfect clients are, and we're going to drill down on how you can get them quickly. So now, Oprah, Trump, and Richard Branson, what do they all have in common? What? Billions. What else? Connections. Influence. Charisma. I was going to say hair, but I don't know if that's necessarily the... What else? What is it? Courage, confidence, diversity. That's exactly it. GSD factor. Anybody else? A winning smile. A winning smile. Power. Passion. $1 million. A $1 billion brand. And you're all right. They're all right answers. There's no wrong answers. But two things that they definitely have. Their GSD factor is like way here. So here's the thing. Seriously, if Richard Branson places a phone call for almost anything, does he get a return phone call? Yes. If Donald Trump sends an email because he needs something for a charity event or he's looking for financing, does he get a return email? Yes. If he needs a meeting by the end of tomorrow because he's found another $500 million project, does he get the meeting? Yes. How would you like to have that kind of power? Yes. Okay? So we're going to show you that exact formula so you could do it in your own way. Whether some of you are local businesses, some of you are statewide, some of you are nationwide. How many of you are playing an international game of business? Okay? And so that's what we're going to kind of get into. And now, how many? I know you guys have heard this saying. How many of you heard this? It's not what you know, it's who you know. So let me add a couple caveats to that. It's not only who you know, it's how well you know them, okay? And what kind of relationship, what kind of connection do you really have with those individuals? Because just because they know someone, does that mean they're going to necessarily introduce you to that person? Okay? I know Branson. I literally gave a speech a couple months ago, and, give the lady, props for coming up, but I didn't know her from Adam, and she basically came up to me and said, she asked me, could I just make a call or something, or, to Branson right away. So it just wasn't appropriate. So again, it's going to come down to that core relationship that you have, okay, and how well you know them. And we're going to show simple strategies that you can all easily implement right away to make it a lot easier to add value and contribution to these people. So I think of connectors. I think of Oprah Winfrey. I mean, she's always getting these amazing TV interviews. And I would have to think she's going to, like I said, she's going to get the return phone call. She's always going to trump her competition because she's got that Oprah effect. But she's, at the core, one connected lady. So connected, she's almost probably given Obama this huge opportunity, right? When most people may not have even knew him, and the Oprah factor stepped in. So here's Dr. Phil. How many of you guys know Dr. Phil? How many of you really knew Dr. Phil like a decade ago? He was nobody. He was not on TV at the time. He helped Oprah win a court case. So for him at the time, that was probably his perfect client, yes? Fortunately, she won. She then invited him on the show, right? And then he had a book. The book raced up to the top of the New York Times. He's had several books. Then Oprah, she's a good person, by the way, to know if you want to get a TV show, right? Rachel Ray. Anyway, and he's had tremendous success. And I just found out he just launched an offshoot just the other day called The Doctors. But it all started back, with Oprah, okay? Who knows what IKT stands for? Well, you know because we no one that knows me. No. Who else? Who knows what IKT that has not heard me speak before? I know that. You know why I put that up there? I guarantee you I'm going to show you stuff, and some of you guys, I know that. I've heard that before. Let me tell you the mistake that I made 5 years ago. I was at an internet marketing conference, and literally, after the third speaker of the morning, they would say, you need to go build your list, like a permission-based. How many of you guys have like permission-based like newsletters that you can communicate with people to? Just by show of hands, just higher. For the rest of you that don't, raise your hands. when you leave by Monday, write this down as an action step, because we're going to make sure you guys have action steps. Every single one of you needs to have a permission-based newsletter that you're able to communicate out to your clients, your prospects, your network, what have you. It's things you can at least contribute and add value to. Anyway, make a long story short. I'm at the seminar. I walked out of the room because I thought I knew what I was doing based on thinking I knew how to go build a list or whatever. There was a guy named Telman Knutson who's a very successful internet marketer. He knew nobody, but he went out and did it, and he has made millions. Anyway, long story short, it's cost me millions. So all I'm going to say is when you're viewing strategies, all I'm going to ask you is put on the sunglasses and ask yourself, are you implementing the strategy? Because if you're not, probably don't know it as well as you think. Is that a fair statement? Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's try this for, let's go out and meet, let's take about 4 or 5 minutes, and let's go see if we can meet about 5 people during those 5 minutes. So I want you to meet this neighbors you have not yet had a chance to meet. Okay? Hey, June, can you tell me the... Bueller. Okay. Orrin Hudson in the house. All right. Okay. All right, I forgot to do some housekeeping items. Okay, everyone, I really need your attention. I could tell you, we haven't passed out agendas, but this agenda is so tight, like to the minute. So all I would ask, so you guys can get the most out of the event, and granted, I went long on that one, but I'm glad because you guys had a chance to connect with some new people. Was that good? Yeah. So here's what I'm saying. When we do with the breaks, when we let you break, and if we say 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes. If we say 10, it's 10, 15, 15. And I'm only doing it for your benefit so we can accomplish all the things that we've packed in. Because if not, you're going to miss out on some incredible people, incredible knowledge and skills. So, Orrin, thanks for being here, bud. Appreciate you. Okay. So just by show of hands, so has someone met someone in the last 5, 10 minutes that may be able to contribute in some way, shape, or form, either them personally or they might have a connection or two that could be pretty cool? I met someone actually has a client named Barbara Streisand. My mom loves Barbara Streisand. That's a person I probably need to build a relationship with. So, okay. Now, why don't we write down where maybe there may have been some missed opportunities? How's that? So here's where there may have been some missed opportunities for some of you. Number one, now I'm not saying any of you have made this mistake ever. I'm just saying I've observed this casually from conducting tons of workshops. And what I found is some people are so super excited about what they do, they're like pitching. Have you ever met anyone like this? Have you ever met anyone like that like literally turns you off so much because they're like so in your face and it's not like you even really care sometimes about what it is, but they're like going to tell you anyway, yeah? So sometimes people tend to pitch a little bit too much. Now, what I found is a killer, unfortunately, is not asking the right questions. Because I tell you, questions are the key. Because that's going to give you the most valuable, insightful information. Now, in the afternoon, I'm going to have I'm not going to go much into this, but having a weak verbal business card. So when someone says, what do you do? And it's kind of a little all over the place and takes too long to get an answer. How many of you know like those ADD personalities like myself and people like just total focused and they're like, if you can't get their attention in 2 seconds, they're gone, right? So when you're dealing with those people, you like have 15 seconds. If you got in front of Trump, you're like 10 seconds, right? And next. So having a weak verbal business card, and Ann Convery is amazing. She's going to talk about how to help you speak your business in 30 seconds or less. Now, another thing I see a lot of times, when someone doesn't even have rapport, I might give them the right question to ask, but if they don't have rapport, that could be a challenge. So, AJ and myself, we're going to cover some simple things so that doesn't happen. Now, some other things. How many of you did not bring a business card today? Just by show of hands? Okay, all right. That's okay. Now, tomorrow, all I'm saying is tomorrow, would it make sense to bring a business card if you have one? No big deal. So sometimes you just don't have a good business card. Let me ask you a question. Who here thinks they have a spectacular business card? Hand them up to me. Just pull them out. I'm gonna, for the best business card in the room, I'm gonna give something away. So just hand me if you got a spectacular business card. What's that? Robert's got his? As a matter of fact. Okay. Yes. Just. And then what we're going to give away is my friend Robert Butwin, who's in the room. Robert, stand up if